Hi everyone, I'm Girish Agarwal and welcome back to my channel. I recently interviewed Mr. Relampagos, a motivational speaker, executive producer and mental health and recovery advocate from Los Angeles. In this video, you will understand how can we reprogram our mind, how to prepare our mind to perform under pressure situation, and mainly a patient recovered from COVID-19. People treat them with prejudice. So how can one deal with this and many more? If you find my video useful and informative, please show some support by liking my video and subscribing to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram. Thank you.
So I want to ask you this question that how can we reprogram our mind?
Yeah, so when it comes to reprogramming your mind, once again, 90% of your mind is subconscious, 10% of your mind is conscious. So think of the 90%. The 90% are the things that you've learned from the past, from childhood to now, right? Which are the beliefs, the false beliefs of I am a loser, I'm unworthy of being loved, and we all react to these things in certain ways. So think about what you want to be. We always think about what we don't want to be, which is, oh, I don't want to be a failure. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to have anxiety. I don't want to, feel unworthy anymore. So we always think about what we don't want to be. Think of the other side. Think about what we do want to be, which is I want to be confident. I want to have a good job. I want to get out of this quarantine thriving and feeling empowered. So take all of those things, write it down, what you want to be, not what I don't want to be. Write down what I want to be, and then explain, on paper or verbally even, just write down the evidence of why those things are true and how you can actually accomplish those things. Because we focus so much on the negative that becomes our reality. But if you actually shift that and put that same amount of energy on the positive, that can be your reality too. You know how people go, something bad happens, right? And then they go, oh, I knew it. I knew this bad thing was going to happen. But that's exactly why it happened, because you knew it. You knew it right here. So you need to know the other stuff, which is the good stuff. So you need to know that you're going to get a job after this. You need to know that you're not going to die from coronavirus. You need to know that you're going to meet the love of your life and you're going to have an amazing family one day. So if you shift your focus to that and write down all the things as to why that is true and will continue to be true, then that's the best way to do it.
Okay. And after that, you can definitely say that I knew it.
Yeah, exactly. And if you I knew I was going to get a good job. I knew I was going to be fit and healthy. I knew I was going to make all this money.
Yeah.
That's right.
So how can we control our thoughts?
Yes, so the best way to control your thoughts is to be mindful. Mindfulness is basically observing without judgment, right? So imagine that you are laying down in a field, your arms back, just watching the clouds, right? So your clouds are your thoughts. Your thoughts does not make you you. Your thoughts are just there, and you choose to attach yourself to a thought. So if you have a negative thought, let's say that's a cloud, you go, oh my gosh, yeah, I believe that. I totally believe that. Then that's what's going to happen. But if you have a positive thought, then that can happen too. You can manifest that. So remember, you're the observer. You're not your thoughts. Your body and your mind is on loan, just like that car metaphor I was talking about. The car has a flat tire. You don't have a flat tire. You can get the tire fixed. But basically, when it comes to mindfulness, it means be aware of your thoughts with no judgment, right? Because we add definition and meaning and power to things that can really affect us and our life follows our thoughts. So when you're mindful, you go, oh, I had a negative thought. That's interesting. Let me find out where that came from. Versus, oh, that's going to be the rest of my life. I'm such a loser. You know what I mean? And then when you have a positive thought, you can go, oh, I actually really like that positive thought. I wonder where that came from. I wonder if that can be true. Yeah, I really like that. Okay, let me explore that. So it's up to you to choose, when you have Netflix, you get to choose what you want to watch. That's the same thing with your thoughts. It's exactly like that.
Okay. That was a good example about Netflix,
Yeah, I mean, we're all binge watching. You might as well binge watch a good show. Why would you want to binge watch a crappy show?
Yeah. So how can we prepare our mind to perform under pressure?
Yeah, so when it comes to performing under pressure, it's important to focus on the facts and not the fables. So our mind likes to tell stories, stories that are not exactly real, but and it's common for people to do, we believe that these things are real. So let's say that you are in a job interview. You really prepared
Okay.
yourself for the job. You're under pressure, right? Because you really, really want the job. So all you have to do is just stick to the facts that you know, because if you feel like you're prepared for the job, then you're prepared for the job. But if you go, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have worn this shirt. Oh, this guy probably thinks I'm so stupid for wearing this shirt. Oh no, I'm not going to get the job. And if I don't get the job, I'm not going to make money. My family's going to be so disappointed in me. So those are the stories that our mind likes to tell us that are not real right now. They could become real later. At the moment, you need to just focus on the actual like job interview and the facts. Martin Luther King said, don't focus on the entire staircase, just look at the next step. And that's really important when it comes to mental health. So if you are under pressure in a job interview, just focus on the job interview. There's a question, you provide the answer. You have a question, the other person provides the answer. That's that. And that's the next step. But the staircase is when you get overwhelmed, and that's when a lot of people quit before they even succeed, you know? So it actually makes it easier for you to just go one step at a time, you know? It's impossible to take 75 different steps at the exact same time. Like as a human being, you're only allowed to take one at a time.
Yeah. Okay. So my next question to you is, nowadays there's a lot of negativity on the news, internet, and even on social media. How can we not let it affect us and keep a positive mind?
Absolutely. So when it comes to staying in shape, right? You are what you eat, right? So if you're eating a giant amount of food, that's going to have an effect on your body. If you eat in portions, that's a little bit healthier for your body. So the same applies to what we watch. So if you're watching a lot of bad news, that's going to have an effect on your body. But if you just watch the facts where you go, okay, 11 million people have coronavirus, got it. 4 out of 5 people overcome or fully recover from coronavirus within 2 to 4 weeks. Got it. Okay, that's that. So you have the information. But if you're just watching how 11 million people died, everyone's dying, then you're going to get really, fearful and paranoid. So it's important to take things into portions. That applies to what we bring into our body with food and what we bring into our minds with what we watch.
Okay.
So once again, being mindful, right? So it's like, oh, I don't feel good right now. You should probably stop watching what you're watching. The same with food. I ate this whole plate of pizza. I'm not feeling really good. You should probably stop eating what you're eating, right? So it's important to be mindful of that.
Okay. So my next question, in this global pandemic, due to COVID-19, there's a lockdown in most countries and people have lost jobs, their daily routine, and it has affected life in many ways. Hence, cases of depression, anxiety, and suicide seems to be rising. How can we stay positive?
Yeah, so in terms of COVID-19, so think about this. There's 11 million cases globally of confirmed COVID-19 cases, right? But what you have to keep in mind too is that 4 out of 5 people fully recover from COVID within 2 to 4 weeks. COVID obviously is very serious. Avoid it with, all of your energy. But understanding that if you do get it, 4 out of 5 people overcome it, right? So what you don't want to add on to it is the stresses that are not real yet, right? COVID does not affect, your sense of unworthiness or your the sense of being a failure or all these other things. But as human beings, we like to add on to those things. It is simply at the end of the day, a virus, right? Our power is that we get to control our inner peace, which is, okay, what am I going to do right now while I'm in quarantine that is productive, that is going to empower me, that's going to motivate other people? So there's all these other things. So not using anything as an excuse, no matter what it is, right? Whether you're just
Okay.
feeling tired or whether there's a virus out there, you can really, the subconscious likes to play games and say, this is a good enough excuse to feel really bad about your life. But that's
Okay.
not the case. So once again, it's shifting your mentality. The glass is half full or the glass is half empty. Um, and I think a lot of people make the mistake of watching really bad news out there, and then it
Okay.
starts to affect their mind. And like I said, live informed and not in fear when it comes to watching news. I like to just get the information, because sometimes if you're watching too much of a bad thing, then you start living in fear, and you don't want to respond to life from a negative space. You know, like if you ask any
Okay.
person who's creative, you don't come up with a great idea when you're stressed out. And that's the same
Okay.
case for living in a world of that's going through a pandemic. You don't want to respond when you're stressed out, because that's never going to be a good thing. But if you go, wow, a lot of people need help, I wonder how I can help them, you start to help other people, and in the end, you're also helping yourself, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely. It really changed the concept into a positive one. Yeah, that
Exactly.
really makes sense. Okay. So there's a lot of fear around COVID-19. Do you think it is necessary?
Yes, I do think that, COVID is serious, and it is something to be aware of versus something to be fearful of is going to affect the rest of your life, right? I
Okay.
do think it's absolutely necessary because, look, there's no vaccine yet, but at the same time, don't feel like it has to affect, your family and your relationships, your mental health, because that is actually all on you. That's the part that, like, you should take responsibility for. But at the same time, speaking of responsibility, avoid the virus, right? So when you go outside, practice social distancing, wear a mask, wash your hands. But if you're doing all that for a virus, think about how important that must be for your mind, right? We don't wash our hands every other month. We don't, put on a mask, every other day. Like when you go outside, you're supposed to do that. But when it comes to your mind, like, what are you doing to actually take care of your mind? And you could meditate, you could journal, you can figure out what are things that you want to accomplish, because we're focusing
Okay.
only really just like on the negative.
Okay. That was great, yeah. So my last question to you is also when a patient has recovered from COVID-19, people treat them with prejudice. Due to fear of contracting the virus, how should a person deal with this?
Living with COVID.
No, he has just recovered from it and he has come to his home. So people give their opinions in a negative way. So how
Right.
can he overcome that?
So that's an awareness thing, as human beings, we tend to resist change when it first happens. But the good
Okay,
thing is that we also learn how to adapt. So if you were somebody that recovered from COVID, and some people are still afraid to be around you, that's really just them understanding that they don't know what this is yet. So I think that we're all in this together when in terms of what is the proper information of how to actually react to COVID. So I think it's
okay,
raising awareness, and this is something that literally just popped up a few months ago. So if you are fully recovered, I can't imagine why people would want to distance themselves from you. But if you're still in the stages of recovery, I do understand why people would distance themselves from you. But you and I are doing what everybody else should be doing right now, which is having connection. Because if there's one thing that this virus has taught us, is that yes, we can be physically disconnected from people, but it's no excuse to not be emotionally connected to people. So even if people want to be physically distant from you, like, you can still be emotionally connected to them by doing what you and I are doing right now. You're in India, I'm in Los
okay.
Angeles, and we're having great conversation. So
Yeah,
that applies to somebody who's COVID negative and COVID positive. It's like you can still have great conversations with people.
okay. So that was great. to have a chat with you, and having on you on IG Live. That was a great opportunity for us to learn.
Yes, thank
So
you
I
so
would,
much, Garish, for interviewing me.
yeah, thank you so much for you also to giving me an opportunity to interview you.
Amazing. Thank you, Garish. Really appreciate you, man.
Thank you, thank you.